So I want to talk quite specifically here about Prime Minister's questions. I haven't actually watched it in full for quite a while now, but this was Kemi Badenoch's first Prime Minister's questions as Tory leader and leader of the opposition. So just in a little clip. Um, I'm not impressed because her attitude towards Trump's victory is based on cynical partisan politics. Let me explain what I mean. Both Starmer and Badenoch, congratulate Trump on his victory, and Starmer, as is the convention, congratulated Badenoch on becoming Tory leader. Um, Now, she used her first Prime Minister's questions, I think it was the first point she raised, to attack the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, on past comments about Trump. And she asked, will Starmer and Lammy use their meetings with Trump to apologise? This is ridiculous. I mean, if Kemi Badenoch is going to criticise every politician who has had something to say about Trump, that's going to take up hours and hours because there's many. I just think it's very cynical dredging up past comments. I mean, considering the things Trump has done over the years, of course there's been criticism of him. And some of that criticism, a lot of that criticism is very valid. His attitude to women and race has at times been utterly cynical. So, of course, there's been criticism. I'm not impressed that Kemi Badenoch is therefore using this issue to hammer Labour because what is she implying with that? Is she implying that Trump can never be criticised? I mean, Starmer and Lammy have been very clear that they'll work with Trump. They know that America is the most powerful country in the world. They know that we can't ignore the United States. If they were still taking the attitude of, we won't work with him, etc., then Badenoch may have a point about, as she termed it, student politics. But the thing that bugs me about this is she's dredging up old comments. I mean, that's just cynical, and I think it's just a bit of it's scraping the barrel, really. I mean, she better be sure that her history of comments are absolutely pure because then she might find that her critics start dredging up her old comments. I just think unless it's absolutely necessary, it's a very cynical approach. Um, and I think on issues of international relations, there should be some common ground. So again, Badenoch used this as a cynical way to attack the government. As opposition leader, she has to hold the government to account. I absolutely agree with that. But not on this issue. I think this is just cynical. And I don't think it's what the British people want. The majority of British people didn't want Trump to win. So does Kemi Badenoch really think that that's what the British people want to hear at Prime Minister's questions? I don't think so. Um, there's another point, when she was talking about student politics. She mentioned the Labour activists who support Harris. Now, my understanding is these activists were in a non-official capacity, i.e., they were there not as Labour Party activists but as individuals. It may have been a bad judgment. Maybe Starmer should have put something out like, don't do that, or I don't know. But again, there's hypocrisy here because she has nothing to say about Nigel Farage going to Trump rallies and openly supporting Trump at his rallies, getting up on stage and everything. And, Farage is not in the Conservative Party, he's in the Reform Party, he's a Reform leader. So she's going to hold the same standards Farage regarding interfering in US politics. I'm not impressed by this. I think it's a cynical move. I think she should focus on some humility as to why the Tories lost, and yes, hold the government to account on a lot of issues. I just think this simping for Trump is pathetic. And I've seen it from a lot of British Conservatives, not just Badenoch. Liz Truss has shown that as well, Boris Johnson. Um, what I would say is a special relationship does not mean subservience, or it shouldn't mean subservience. This idea that because Lamy once criticised Trump, he therefore, oh, we're going to open this can of worms and, say he can't. It's just cynical, and it's a cheap shot, quite frankly. Um, because it's past comments. Lamy has been very clear that he would work with Trump. But, is Biden not going to ask Trump to apologise for the things he said about British politicians, or for that matter, Trump supporters? I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene told a member of Kemi Badenoch's party, a former Prime Minister David Cameron, to basically um, stick it where the sun doesn't shine, because Cameron was talking about stability and the need for positive international relations and support for Ukraine and respect for democracy and so on. So is Biden not going to criticise Trump's support for that? The problem I have with Badenoch's attitude is she seems to be viewing the special relationship as a subservient relationship, like we should just agree with everything Trump says and does. Starmer congratulated him. I think at the moment that suffices. Of course, we have to work with America, and I'm sure we will. But I've seen people say things like, "Oh, Starmer and Lammy are going to be far down Trump's priorities." This constant simping for Trump is ridiculous, and the same people I think would have been very vocal regarding Brexit. They would have spoken about taking back control, and we can't let Europe tell us what to do. But the very same people are now saying that the British government has to be subservient to Trump and has to just agree with him on everything. It's utterly pathetic. I don't want to see Starmer rolling out the red carpet. Yes, he'll have to be practical. But I'm not impressed by Kemi Badenoch so far that she's going down this line. She could have asked all sorts of questions and to pick that. I just think it's not impressive. I'm sure a lot of conservatives will lap it up. Um, in Britain, most people didn't want Trump to win. There are certainly British conservatives who go well into the whole Trump thing. But I'm not impressed by Kemi Badenoch so far, taking that approach. She talks about student politics. She's the one engaging in student politics. You know what? For someone who's been so outspoken on the culture wars, some of it which I agree with, she, she's playing a risky game by dredging up past comments. She might well find that Labour turns it back on her and brings up some of her past comments. So it's not impressive for a first PMQs.